So it's 2025, and there have been several big recent announcements in the AI space. Most prominently, but not necessarily most importantly, is the announcement of OpenAI's O3 model. This is unreleased as of now, but it is supposed to represent a step change in models, a new level of intelligence and generalizability. In particular, this model crushes previous models on the ARC challenge. If you aren't familiar with ARC, it is the abstraction and reasoning challenge. It is a set of puzzles, essentially, that are designed to be difficult for an AI, but many of them are actually relatively easy for a human. And in theory, a good score on them on this test represents a greater level of generalizability and a greater level of intelligence. In addition to this, we have new, arguably, open source models, Llama, Qwen, DeepSeek, many others that would have been state of the art for proprietary models only a few short months ago. The progress has been staggering. So we're in a situation where we have these announcements made by executives of big tech companies that are perhaps motivated and beholden to the acquiring the next round of funding. But even the most skeptical of us must admit that the progress has been staggering. If we're going to be a little bit charitable, I think you can really easily argue that these tech companies have not really failed to deliver on their promises. The products out there are crazy. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me in 2021 we would have what we have now. So we're at the point where reasonable people are starting to ask themselves, how close is AI to human level intelligence? And what does that even mean? I'm of the opinion that you can simultaneously believe that AI is unbelievably useful, probably the most important technology we'll see developed in our lifetimes, and simultaneously believe that the current architectures are unlikely to achieve human level intelligence anytime soon. And as we consider these questions of how close we are to human level intelligence, I think we need to ask even bigger philosophical level questions about what that even means. For what is information without critical human thought? What is creativity without human emotion and human experience? And what is the act of creation without originality and, dare I say it, a little bit of human suffering? I don't claim to have any answers to any of these questions. Those are for the philosophers to figure out. However, I think we need to put everything into that context as we talk about these technical questions. So today, we're going to be going over an article from Nature News. It's a blog post, essentially. This is not Nature, the scientific publication, but it maybe has a slightly higher standard of publication than just someone's Medium post or something like that. And it is appropriately titled, How Close is AI to Human Level Intelligence? OpenAI's latest artificial intelligence system dropped in September with a bold promise. This is about O1. The company behind the chatbot ChatGPT showcased O1, its latest suite of large language models, as having a new level of AI capability. OpenAI, which is based in San Francisco, California, claims that O1 works in a way that is closer to how a person thinks than do previous LLMs. This is, of course, referring to the so-called chain of thought mechanism, where the output of the LLM is ran back through the LLM many times potentially. And this is what we do. We don't think in one shot, we think iteratively. So it makes sense that you can get better output from the LLM if you allow it to reflect on what it just did, rather than expecting it to do it in one shot. This is similar and kind of classic, computer vision machine learning. This reminds me of test time augmentation. Big picture, you're throwing more compute at the problem and getting better results. It is a powerful technique. I'm a big fan of O1. I use it quite a bit. Now, this article essentially brings up two strong arguments against why modern architectures are unlikely to have human level intelligence. Number one is building a world model. This is something that we as humans do continuously. We're good at it and we don't even realize that we're doing it. Imagine you're walking down the sidewalk, there's leaves in the trees, they're blowing in the wind, maybe there's some cars on the road, there's other people walking around. Your mind, your senses are pulling in an unbelievable amount of information. Think how much data is in the audio, in the visual data, and you're smelling and you're feeling. And what our brain is able to do is it's able to not think about, oh, there's this individual leaf crinkling and falling down. It is able to build a relatively simplistic model of maybe, this is an arbitrary number, but 25 or so things that are happening around you that it considers important, and it allows you to plan and act accordingly to that simplified model of a complex world. What we're also good at is feedback. Say something changes, an animal jumps behind you and it scares you because you weren't aware of it. Your brain can rapidly add that information to the model. In this article, they go over how they had an AI attempt to plan a trip in a car. And after doing it, they had a method of extracting the internal map that the AI had constructed. And as you can see here, the map that the AI constructed was not reasonable. It did not build itself a reasonable world model of what the streets would actually look like. Number two, the other reason why modern AI may or may not be able to reach human level intelligence is the availability of data. Another hurdle encountered by LLMs is that they are data guzzlers. Carl Friston, a theoretical neuroscientist at University College London, suggests that future systems could be made more efficient by giving them the ability to decide just how much data they need to sample from the environment to construct the world model and make reasoned predictions, rather than simply ingesting all of the data they are fed. He says this would represent a form of agency and autonomy which might be needed for AGI. This makes sense to me, and it's something I've thought about a lot. For better or worse, we are at the point where the modern internet, today's internet, there are already lots of bots. They're out there, they are posting on our forums, they're making fake social media personas, and we really only have one internet. And it is possible that the, roughly mid-2022 internet is the best source of data we're ever going to have. How useful is an internet that has been corrupted, is a loaded word, but it has a lot of AI data mixed in with it? Is that data useful? I'm sure it has some use, but is it as useful as human-generated data? I'm skeptical of that. This is huge. Finally, the point 2.5, this is not a full point, but the idea that even if we do achieve human level intelligence, which I think we actually will. I think we will. The idea of a quick takeoff is very unlikely. This idea that, the AI becomes self-aware and self-improving, and over the course of a couple hours, it just becomes super intelligent, is extremely unlikely given the current trajectory. It seems that AI is going to be developed by throwing initially an obscene amount of compute at the problem. Tens, hundreds, millions of dollars to generate results out of this AI. And even once we achieve that, there will be lots and lots of work to do to optimize it on the software and hardware side to make it actually usable. First for, the megacorps, and then hopefully for regular people as well. So I find the likelihood of this happening really, really quickly is unlikely. Even if the tech gets developed, it needs to become economically viable. Finally, I think it's worth talking about this in the context of being a software developer, because coding is something that AI really is quite good at and in theory could automate. So there's the saying that history seldom repeats itself, but it often rhymes. I think we need to place today's AI developments into that framework. Think about the massive step changes we've had in software development over the decades. Think of going from writing machine code or assembly language to writing a compiled language like C. I'm sure there were some developers at the time that thought, oh no, if we just all start writing C, our productivity is going to 10x and there's going to be less demand for us. The demand for developers has only gone up. Think about going from writing C to writing a memory-safe language like Python. Yes, there's a change in performance, but you could create really powerful applications really quickly in Python. I'm sure there were developers who thought, oh no, with these new languages that just take care of so many things by abstracting it away, we're going to 10x our performance again, and there won't be as much of a demand for developers. It has only gone up. Think of coding in a situation where you don't have the internet. You just have textbooks and the expertise of your coworkers to rely upon and your own intuition. Think of going from that to coding with the internet and Stack Overflow. We can just copy and paste all the answers, right? Is that going to 10x? Did that 10x performance? And then did demand for developers go down as a consequence of that? We're perhaps at a similar step change here, where we're going from coding without AI to coding with AI. I actually would argue that compared to those previous step changes, this may not be as significant as them. And I'm not personally too worried about AI just automating away all coding anytime soon. Could it happen someday? It could. Is it going to happen anytime soon? I really, really am skeptical and really don't think so. Anyways, those are just some thoughts on recent developments. The truth is, I don't know, nobody knows where any of this is going. All you can do is continue to update your skills, be as good at what you do as possible, and be willing to change, be willing to learn new tools. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.